welcome to episode 8, I think we're on, of Voice of Women Live. Today I'm so excited to be joined with an amazing women motivational speaker and advocate for Voice of Women, empowering women's voices. Is that better, Florence? Can you hear me? Or Sophie? Yay, okay, perfect. Yay, amazing. Yay! Oh my gosh, those earrings are fabulous. They're awesome. Perfect. I'm so glad we managed to make it here. So I've done just a little bit of introduction for the video. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Altovise here, your voice manager. I unmute the voice of women who are ready to speak up about what has kept her silent for way too long. Host of the hashtag Speak Easy podcast. And I am your magnetic introvert.
Yes, and obviously we've connected over Instagram and I was so excited to chat with you today. Just as soon as I seen your bio as like women empowerment, I was like, hell yeah, I'm here for it. Because obviously through my artwork, like I share different women's stories, and I kind of wanted to interview lots of different women from around the world as well, to like for them to share their stories through this kind of little episode live kind of thing. So I'm so excited to hear your story because we've not had a chance to chat before now. So yeah, I'm so excited for what you have to say.
I am definitely looking forward to sharing this story with your audience.
Amazing. Well, whenever you can start, wherever you would like to start.
Well, sure. So it's interesting because my story resonates with so many people because we've all been at that point of kind of just giving up on ourselves. And so in 2016, I had a conversation with my oldest daughter about trust. Okay. And it was the first time I had ever told anyone that I had been molested as a child. Okay. It kind of came out during the conversation. I wish that I could have like pulled the words back. But in that moment, she cried, I cried, and it was a release for me. Okay. And it sparked something. Okay. So with that, I said, you know what? Next year is going to be my year. 2016 is going to be the year for me. New year, new me. January 1st, I'm going to make it happen. December 31st of 2015, I was evicted from my home.
Shit. First of all, I'm so sorry that you were molested. Secondly, I'm so sorry that this happened as well. Jeez. What a great start, right?
Right, exactly. I'm like, January 1st is supposed to be, January 1st, 2016 was supposed to be amazing for me. Yeah. Everything is supposed to happen. I wanted to be a speaker. I wanted to write books. I wanted to do all of these things. And December 31st, I am pulling all of my stuff from my home onto a sidewalk with a sheriff standing there to make sure that there were no problems, right? And I had a decision to make. January 1st, I had a flight that I had already had planned. It was already paid for. And we know if we cancel flights, we're not getting that money back.
Right. No matter what.
Exactly. Let's just be clear about that, right? That was even before pandemic. Let's be clear.
Right, exactly.
But I said, okay, do I have my pity party or do I go and take this flight? And man, I struggled with that.
Yeah, I bet you did.
All night, because I'm like, we just put all our stuff in storage. Me and my children moved into the second bedroom of a 2-bedroom apartment. Like, I'm a single mom of 4. I was fighting to get custody of my sister. So it was like so many things going on. And for the first time, I said, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to go
through all that, even through all that,
while homeless, I'm going to do this. And I go ahead, I take my flight. First flight, no problem. I do my layover. And I noticed that my second ticket doesn't have a group number on it. So I'm a creative. And in my mind, stories start to pop up. So I'm like, it's a fake ticket. I'm going to jail in my mind. Yeah. But I went ahead to the booth and I let them know, hey, there's no group number on my ticket. They said, no problem. Just go in with group 2. I said, all right. I go, they call group 2. I get in line with my bags. And they call my name over the loudspeaker. And I'm looking out to see if TSA is like coming down from a helicopter. Like one of the carts is coming through the airport. Because you cannot tell me I'm not getting arrested.
Yeah, right.
Like there is a whole situation going on right now, and I'm going to jail. They call
Shit.
me back over to the booth. I get there, and they hand me a brand new ticket, first class.
Why?
They just handed me a new ticket.
Wow.
I was like, okay, all right. So
That was not what you were. That was not what was going through your mind, huh?
it was phenomenal because I thought about it and I said, for so many years, because of my circumstances, I
Mhm.
stopped. I didn't go, I didn't do, I didn't ask. Because of my circumstances, it didn't feel like or look like I deserved what I was asking for. It
Okay.
didn't look like or feel like I deserved what was right before me, what was right there.
Right.
And so this was the first time that I actually said yes and pushed past it, and I was upgraded to first class. And that literally propelled me into so many other things because I felt like if God can propel me to the point where he can give me a first class ticket and I'm homeless,
Right.
anything
Yeah,
is
right. That must have been so mad.
anything is possible. I'm
Right.
like, there's
Yeah.
nothing that can hold me back. And so it was a great, opportunity, but it's been the driving force for me to go and be a speaker and be an author. I currently have 20 books that I have published.
Yes!
And
Hell yeah!
that
Okay,
first
okay.
was in March of 2016. So from 2016 until now, I've published 20 books. It's
Wow.
been an amazing experience hosting the hashtag Speakeasy podcast.
And
Speak.
what's that about?
So the hashtag Speakeasy podcast, I go and I interview authors, speakers, entrepreneurs from all over the world, and I have them share their story of triumph. Um, because it empowers other people to be able to go and push through
It
and try
does.
strategies that we need, right? Because if you
Yeah.
hear somebody's story, you're like, okay, they went through X, Y, and Z
Right, yeah.
through X.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And it allows you to see a route, right? And then like it
Exactly.
helps so much to be able to do that.
It was amazing. And I've been able to connect with so many different people because of it. And I'm excited because even though I'm here in the US, my podcast, like our most downloads come from India. Like,
Wow.
that's crazy.
I know the world of the internet is so mad. The people you can connect with, even like how we're connecting now, is so powerful. Like when you use it correctly instead of comparing ourselves all the time on it, right?
Exactly, exactly. Like there, we can come together and support each other. We can come together and encourage each other. And one of the things I've learned along this journey is that a lot of us have so many similar things that we've dealt with that if we go ahead and just talk about it, man, we can come up with solutions
Yes,
so much better.
yes. This is how when I seen your profile, I was like, I know you are preaching what I'm preaching. Because we put like the thing that I always say is that we put ourselves in boxes or we're put in boxes, right? That we're not always like that we want to be put in. But actually we're all so similar. We're all so similar. We all as humans function with a brain and a heart. And those things tell us and make us react in certain ways, right?
Exactly, exactly. And man, the thing about it, I've been able to see people, and it was funny. So just recently, I had a good friend of mine who's actually in the UK, and we
Okay.
connected online. We've been connected for maybe about 5 or 6 years now.
Awesome.
She did a live stream, like celebrating me, and I was like, oh, like the boo, the ugly cry. So she was talking about how she said she is the longest online friendship that I've had. She said, I know that she would call and pray for me. I know that she would help
Oh.
in on me. She said, and in some of the like the moments that were the toughest, she's come and just like sent me like a word, of encouragement in my inbox. And she may not have even known what I was going through. So like when she did that video, I like boo-hooed because I was like, we still haven't even been able to see each other in person, and here it is. This is something that somebody can say about you from way across
Right,
the
yeah,
pond
yeah,
on the other side.
yeah.
That is epic.
It's so powerful as well, isn't it? Because I think this is the thing. Like social media has such a bad reputation, and rightly so. Some of the time, it is right with what it can create. But these bonds and these relationships, and sometimes these people you feel like online sometimes know you better than people that are right next to you, because they've taken the time to get to know you and like hear your story and like build these genuine connections, like, which I do think, like, because I've met a few girls through doing like these paintings and even like some of these lives, like, and then when you meet them, they're exactly how you thought they were going to be in real life. But sometimes we're told that we shouldn't think that, because you know, like, it's online and it's fake, and so but obviously there are aspects of that, but that's so beautiful, like, that you've like made.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so
What
powerful.
part of it is because when we meet people online, they get to meet us and learn who we are here and now.
Yeah.
So they're learning we are
Yeah.
in the moment. And so
Yeah.
sometimes the people around us, they still have the image or they still have the memory of who we used to be.
Before you got on that plane, right?
Exactly. And so they're looking at the 10-year-old you, they're looking at the 15-year-old you, they're looking at the 25-year-old you, but they're not necessarily looking at the you that's standing right in.
Yeah, I've never thought of it like that. I've never thought of it like, they've got all these lenses and all these, like, right from all those years. Yeah, wow. So then what happened when you got on that plane? Then what? Like,
It sparked so many things. So after I get on the plane, I go ahead, I go to my destination. When I got back home, I was like, you know what? Everything is going to happen. Now, mind you, I'm an introvert, so I don't know what I was thinking. But I said, I'm going to go for it. I started speaking. I was live streaming on Periscope at the time and had started working on becoming an influencer on Periscope. A moment of silence for the Periscope family. But it was amazing. And I ended up publishing my first book in March of 2016. And it was an amazing feeling because I had been writing that book for 8 years. And here it is, that one thing that I did gave me the motivation to go ahead and get it done. And so published the first book. And in 2016, I actually published the first 4 books. So
wow.
it
And
was
what were they about?
bananas. So the first one is about the story of what I went through after finding out that my girls had been molested. And see, that was why that 2015 conversation was so powerful, because at the time I had been trying to help my daughters get over and heal from them being molested, but yet I had never told anybody that I had been molested as a child. I had never told anybody what I had went through. And so it was like almost like I was trying to help them heal, but I still had an open wound. And that's dangerous, because then it starts to fester, it's horrible. And so that moment of telling her, that sparked me being able to go ahead and fully heal so I could go and help others. And since then, I've been able to go and help women who've been in domestic violent relationships be able to tell their story. I've gone and helped women who have dealt with teen pregnancy be able to come out and help other women, even seeing women who have been through cancer and be able to not only tell their story, but go and do photo shoots and be beautiful, the beautiful woman that they are, and do it because they know that there's another woman that needs that same motivation, that needs that same amount of energy poured back into them. And so it sparked so many things. I started an accountability community for women, and
Okay.
we've been going strong since 2016. So uh, all of these things, I look and I say, wow, if I never would have took that flight, I would not have had the strength or the mental capacity to push through some of the things I've gone through in the last few years, because it's fun. Like, it's fun to believe that, oh, well, she's done all this, it must have been easy. Man, I've dealt with coaches that were shisty. I've dealt with losing money on different things that I invested in. I mean, even doing so I said, okay, I'm going to do a tour, because that's what I saw everybody else doing at the time. They were doing like these speaking tours, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do a speaking tour. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness, what?
The stress level that comes with putting together an event in multiple cities is ridiculous.
I could only imagine.
Ridiculous. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it. But one of the things that I made sure that I did was it didn't matter if it was 2 people or 25 people, or no matter what number was there, I showed up as if it was 2,000 people in the room. And they appreciated that so much. They were just like that, you showed up for us as if we had this big old crowd and it was only the 2 of us. And I lost money.
Did you?
Doing that first tour. I completely lost money because I was flying out to places. I had to pay for hotels and all of this stuff. And I didn't really have a lot of people coming in. I know we hear about influencers talking about the one young lady that had a big following, and then she tried to sell t-shirts and she like couldn't sell the 25 minimum that she needed to sell. That's real, is that you have to really cultivate a relationship with people online, and you have to make sure that you're delivering something that they want.
Yeah.
And so it may be something they need per se,
Yeah.
may not be what they want.
Right. It's so true. That's very thought provoking, actually.
Mm-hmm. That's one of those lessons that kind of hit me. And once it hits you, you're like, we waste a lot of time marketing stuff to people because we think because it's what they need, but it's not necessarily what they want.
Yeah. And then also we're on the flip side of that, not necessarily buying stuff or engaging in stuff that we need because it's not what we want.
It's not what we want. It doesn't make us feel good. I mean, let's be honest. Everywhere I travel, I get a brownie. I have to get a brownie. Every time I go travel somewhere, I have to get a brownie. Not because of something, it's not because I need a brownie.
Yeah, right.
It's because I want a brownie every time I travel. It's a brownie.
Yeah.
But, that's how we have to see it sometimes. And we have to understand that there are certain laws and principles that come with business. Mm-hmm. There are certain things that we can do that are phenomenal, that will make great sense and blow up and be viral in 2 days. But then there's other things that we can go and put out there and it will get nothing because there's still laws and that come with being in business. There's still things, a certain system for how some things work. And yeah, you may do something today and it not go viral for years. You may do something today and in a week, people are like banging down your door asking you to be a speaker for an event.
Yeah, right. It's so true. And someone's just put in the chat saying, I've heard it said, sell what you want, but wrapped inside that is what you know what I need.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. I don't know. See, in the States, is Squid Game a thing?
Yes, it is. It is blowing up.
So that's blowing up here too. And this, like when I seen that guy had been trying to get someone to take on that script for 9 years, and he didn't give up. And I think that's what it is. If you believe in something enough and like and it's something that you want, and I think that's what's so powerful about your story, right, is that you easily could have gave up that first hurdle. You could have easily not got on that plane, like as you've said, but actually you stayed true to that, or you could have given up when you lost your house at the very first hurdle. And I think sometimes we think it's going to be easy, and we think, as you're saying, it's going to go global in 2 days, but that's not the reality for a lot of people. And then at the same time, like with what you're saying as well, with being an influencer and you can't even sell 25 t-shirts because it's not what you've cultivated. It's so true and it's so beautiful, but like you just keep going because you never know when it's gonna blow up and change everything. So from you going on that tour then and doing that, then what were you like, and how did you stay motivated after that?
So there was a couple things. So first and foremost, you ever want to see if you really are dedicated to a goal that you have, tell a child.
Oh, wow, okay. I wasn't
Because
expecting
people
you to
test
say that,
you.
okay.
They will test you, and they will ask you about it. They will keep you accountable on it in the worst of ways.
Yeah.
Um, so I would try to talk to my kids about things that I was doing. They would come to me with ideas and information. And, well, Mom, did you think about this? Did you look at this? And I had to understand that they were watching me. And even when I made the decision that I was no longer going to go to a job, that I was going to do this full time, whatever this is, because I didn't have a full idea or understanding of what this would be. Um, I remember sitting down with my kids, and I had printed out. At the time, I was working full time for Payless,
Right.
and I printed out how much money I had made for the company in a year. And I sat down with my children at the desk, at the table, and I said to them, this is how much I've made for another company in a year's time. And this is how much I get paid. Maybe we get paid maybe about 10% of what we make, if that, right? Depending on, the hours and all of that. And my children were looking and going, now all my children are very intelligent. So they're
Yeah, I
going,
bet they are with a mother
they
like
got
you.
calculators out, and they're like, that doesn't make sense, because if somebody calls out, you got to stay, and if this happens, then you got to do this, and they're like calculating, and they're like, that doesn't make sense. I said, it doesn't. I said, but if I leave my job and I do this full time, mm-hmm, then the money that comes in is for us, is for our family. I said, if something happens to me today or tomorrow, you may get some flowers from that job.
Right.
As my children, they may send some flowers for the funeral. But if we build something and I'm no longer here, I can build something that will continue to give to you even when I'm gone.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And how old were they when you were having this conversation with them?
They were middle school.
How old was that?
My babies they're like, oh my goodness. So my babies right now are 16, no, I'm about to say 16, 17, 18, 19, and 21.
Okay.
My babies. So this was several years back. This was 2017. So about 4 years ago.
So they were young.
They were young. They were about middle school, high school, beginning of high school age. And we sat down, and the response was, let's do it. Let's go for it. And I was just like, okay, let's go for it. Still didn't know what this was.
Yeah.
What it was going to be. Still didn't know how far it was going to go. I didn't know if people were going to show up one day or the next. I didn't know if anybody was going to sign up for the membership or buy the books or do any of these things. And so when I said that yes meant that I had to be accountable to them, because we agreed on it together.
I find that so beautiful as well, that you actually sat down with your kids and had that conversation. And I can only imagine the relationship that you guys will have as a family. And I think it's so powerful, because a lot of the time the people that are around us, we're saying, as we said when we started this, it's very easy to form relationships with people across the pond and have these things. But a lot of the time we sometimes forget how to, or even ask outwardly how we can best support our family and the people that are right there with us every day. And I think especially as kids, with kids and a mother relationship, I don't have any kids of my own, so I don't know. But from an out, kind of imagining it in my mind, and so obviously the relationship that I've had with my parents is very much they're the adult and you're the child. And I think that's so beautiful, such a beautiful dynamic to be able to bring them into that and be like, look, this is the decision that, and also because then at that young age, they're then thinking and starting to understand how you need to think as an adult, right? Yeah. So then when they come to that point, it's not a massive shock of the kind of things that you need to think about. Like,
Okay.
as because that was such a shock to me. Like, as I became an adult, it's like, okay, you need to choose between this and that, and that's like a massive decision that you had to make. That they are now going to, from such a young age, being able to understand the kind of conversation, by having that kind of conversation out loud as you as an adult, and then being your babies, is like they can then see your reasoning, and we're not taught how to reason things. Even like in uni, like I did 3 years doing occupational study and occupational therapy, and in uni we're taught how to reason, critical reasoning, all these kind of things. And sometimes you're stuck because you're like, I don't know how I should be thinking about this, because you don't, like, I don't think I've ever sat down with my parents and like discussed how we reason things, right?
Exactly.
And
But
many people,
it came back to me because, and this is why I said, tell your children, because we had been going through a rough patch as children get into the high school years, the teenage years. It gets a little tougher with the communication and what they want to do and all of that things. But we had a conversation, and they felt like I was not spending enough time with them, or that I wasn't giving them that same attention that I was giving them when I was working a job. And they were honest with me, and that hurt like heck. It hurt like heck, because it was like, you failed.
yeah,
You
I
took
bet it felt like that. But what you didn't feel in is being able to ask, like, to then know, because then you can do better instead of getting to like, I'm 24 now, getting to your 24 and here, because there's still time for change.
exactly, and
And
that's what it is.
I don't mean to cut you off because I want to go back to that, but someone just put in a question in the chat. And I know some people can't stay for long sometimes in these things. And it says, has this transformed from what you'd first intended it to be, from where you are now?
Man, it definitely has. Because this in the beginning was just get out there, and especially as an introvert, I didn't know what that meant, because I'm an introvert. I didn't do big crowds. I didn't want to do big anything. What?
That's so daunting. Like, you're so
Look,
awesome. You
like,
just
you
did
want me to stand
it.
on the stage in front of a couple hundred people and talk? Why? For what? I can send you a message. Y'all can read it or
Yeah,
something.
right. An email? No, does that work?
Exactly. Like, there's other ways we can go about this. And so in the beginning, it was just a matter of getting out there, getting in front of people. I was live streaming. I was telling my story. I was just getting to connect with people. And then over time, it morphed into something bigger, because I realized the things that I was doing and putting out into the world was shifting lives. And so, man, it really became a mission of me being able to unmute the voice of other people, and what that really meant, and how that could change not just their lives, but the lives of other people. I've had clients come to me and say, you know, me and this family member, you know, we're talking again. And it's because of what I've learned in your program and the process that I've been through. I've seen different women say, I've gone and gotten counseling so that way I can heal because of the conversation that we had.
Wow.
And that's so significant. And I thought that it was just me helping women. So one of the things that I did a few years back was I did something called the World Voice Summit. And the first year that we did it, we had over 100 speakers from all over the world. And they were just telling stories of overcoming. They were sharing tips and resources about business and all types of stuff. Over 100 speakers.
Wow.
All over the world. And maybe about 2 years afterwards, I had one of the speakers, we were on Clubhouse. And I was on stage, and he said, I have to say this to you because I've never said it to you before. He said, but you having me on your platform was one of the most significant things that has happened for me. And it sparked me being able to do what I'm doing now. And
Wow.
he was speaking about being a speaker for the virtual summit, but then afterwards, his son passed. And he's in the UK, but his son was here in the US. And so one of my team members would call and check on him, would go and pray with him and make sure he was okay. Because that was the atmosphere. That was what we built as a
The
team.
community.
That's the community. And so he said she would call me, and even though there was a big time difference because she's here in the US and he's in the UK, she would still make it work so she could call him to make sure he was okay and pray with him and talk to him. And he talked about it because he said it was from that point that moved me all the way to this point, and now he's doing things with Les Brown. And I'm like, that
Wow.
is crazy to think. First of all, I didn't even know how big it would be just doing something like that. But to think that it literally paved a path for him to be able to do and work with Les Brown, bananas.
That's like the spark for you, isn't it, that the plane created? Like sometimes it can just be the smallest thing that flips everything and flips your way of thinking, and like just, I suppose, hope as well. I think hope is such a big thing, and when you get these little glimmers of hope throughout this massive unknown journey, it's enough to like keep continuing on and keep pushing through, right? Yeah,
Oh,
that was such a great answer. That's such a great answer. But I'd love to go back to the conversations and stuff that you're having with your kids, because I think like that's like, I don't think I've ever even like heard a parent talking to their kids about something like that ever, which is mad, because I could see how, like, what made you have those conversations with them.
so I remember for a long time, me and my mother, it was just me and my mother. She was a single
Mm-hmm.
mother for quite some time. Then when she did get married, she was married into an abusive relationship. And so when she got married, we lost that communication.
Okay.
And I watched her suffer for
Mm-hmm.
years,
Mm-hmm.
um, to the point where she passed before she even turned 50 years old. And so
Sorry.
she when she passed away, three of my siblings were still in school. Like
Mm-hmm.
she missed so many different things. And
Mm-hmm.
then I thought about it and I said, but even while she was here, because she was dealing with different sicknesses and she was dealing with depression and all of
Mm-hmm.
these different things, she did not fully experience what it meant to have her children. And her children really, we all loved her. I'm the oldest of six. We all loved her. But she never truly got to fully experience that because of everything else. And so I said to myself, I want to fully experience my children. That looks different for every person. For some women, that'll be, or some parents, I would say, because some men like
Mm-hmm.
it too. There'll
Yeah.
be a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that may mean we're going to take a road trip and get an
Mm-hmm.
RV and travel all summer. Whatever that looks like, there's a bond that we create. And it's going to be different for each child that you have. It's going to be different,
Yeah.
for each family. And man, I do some of the weirdest things.
You what?
So
Some of the weirdest things?
I said, I do some of the weirdest
You
things just to
do.
build that connection with my children. So for instance, one of my daughters, my oldest daughter was learning French. My youngest daughter was learning Spanish. Um, and my sister was learning Spanish and Korean. And so
Wow.
they would send me something, or especially when we had the snow day and school would close early, and they would be like, "Oh, we're
Mm-hmm.
coming home early," and I would say, "No, bueno, no, bueno." I would look stuff up in French and respond in French for my daughter that was learning French, and it was funny because I
Wow.
was creating moments for them and creating those memories. But they would literally go, "Mom, stop using Google Translate." It didn't say what you thought it said. Random moments, okay? Um, Something else we would do was Wacky Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
And so every Wednesday, we would try a different food, something we had never tried before.
Okay.
Uh, I think last week we Wednesday, but last week we had they tried sushi with eel and sushi with pickled radish. Just something different. But
So
they would literally
every single Wednesday they
everyone
try
for
something
like
different.
I want to say for either 2 or 3 years, every Wednesday we tried something
How
different.
can you even think of that many things different to try?
we were ordering from like all of these random places, and they would come home and literally come in the door, and I'd be like, here, try this. Try this. And they'd be like, Mom, what is this? Here, try this. Here, try it. And they'd be like, this is so weird. What is this? But they have a expanded palette because they've been able to try so many things, and they know that they like food from other cultures, and they want to travel and taste different things and see different things. It's the experience that you give them, early on, that provides the momentum for that.
For sure.
So I'm just like, yeah, I'm here for all of it. Let's
I
go.
think I think the biggest thing that I just admire about what you're doing is just like giving that energy to your kids, Like I think it can be so easy, again, as I can imagine, because I've not been there, but to just get caught up in your own life, and be doing your own life, and actually like you're raising human beings. And I think like and you like coming up with all these ideas and just trying for them. Of course you're going to get it wrong, and it's like, as you've expressed, you still did. And being able to accept that, even with having your heart there all the time and trying your best every day, that you can still get it wrong, and actually that's okay, because at least you did your best, right? Like, and I think
Exactly.
that's such a nice thing to be able to say and to be able to do. And this whole concept of like wacky Wednesdays, I think the most beautiful thing about that is how we mentioned how before I was mentioning about boxes and all these things that come from different cultures. As soon as you start trying things, it becomes less wacky, right? Because you've then had that thing. Can you still hear me? Yeah. Are you with me still? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay, perfect. Yeah, no, I think that thing of like wacky Wednesdays, like actually, once you've tried something, it then becomes less wacky, and then someone else's culture or other people's culture then becomes less odd and like unusual and wacky, which then like that then transforms into like, and I can imagine how that must transfer into your kid's life, because if they go to someone else's house, it's a different culture, and they see something that was once on Wacky Wednesdays, it's like, oh, like I know what that is now. Like that's actually
Exactly.
like, yeah. And then it starts taking the division away from people and bringing this sense of unity that like this is because this is just something that I think like all the time, like we really are like all these perceptions that we create, actually when you stop for 2 seconds and try and have a conversation with someone, there's so much similarities that you can find when you're talking from the heart, and you're talking about that truth, which ties in perfectly when you sat down and had that conversation with your daughter about trust and like telling your truth, even though that's so hard and must have been such a hard conversation to have. Like that was your truth through the experiences that you've had. And I think especially like in the Western world, we try and sugarcoat everything and make everything look all perfect and only try and talk about the pretty things. I was actually talking with my cousin the other day about how we deal with death so badly, because like we don't talk about the ugly parts of life, whereas in some cultures it's like something like I remember something, I think it was in a Tibetan book, and it was about this man that would confront death every morning and start his day off with the idea of his own funeral every morning. And you can look at and here we're like, oh, that's so morbid, why would you want to think about that every day? But actually, like, to be able to be in touch with that is actually, and it's something that is kind of mad, because there's a lot of things in life that aren't truths. We put on them as if they're true, and it's like it's the human truth that we've created, and in cultures that's different. But actually, death is one of the one things that we know is truth. Whatever happens after that or running up to that, and if it's all part of our journey, changes from cultures and religion. But the one thing that is true is that moment that we're not going to be here at one point anymore moving forward. Whereas now, like, it's something in the West we just don't, we totally ignore. And then when something bad happens to someone that we love, we're like, why has this happened to me? Or why me? Like, this is awful, this is devastating. It's like, yeah, but that's the one thing that is true. And on the flip side of that, I have no idea how to make that better for us and for myself and for everyone that lives our life like this. But we love you. But like, it's just like, it's madness to me that we've created this society around denying one part of our lives that is true.
It is true. And you know what it is? It's because there's I've started talking about this a little bit more, but there are levels of shame that come with certain things. Um, and it keeps us from sharing our truth. It keeps us from having these harder conversations because we feel like if I talk about it, then I'm bringing it to me. If I talk about it, then I'm showing people that I'm vulnerable.
And
Or
weakness, right?
same way with, right, exactly. The same way with the first book was It's Okay to Cry. It's because we've been taught that if you're crying, then you're weak. If you're
Yes, and then
crying,
that ties in with women
then
and all the emotions. Oh, yes.
exactly, exactly. And so, no, your tears are not you being weak. Your tears mean
It's an
strength.
emotion. Yeah.
Exactly. It's an emotion. It shows that there's something emotionally that is going on, and it's an emotion. It is a natural function of your body. But mentally, there's a shame that comes with it. It's the same thing about being very truthful with your children. There's a shame that comes with it, and people won't tell their children that they were terrors when they were children, and that's probably why you're a terror now as my child. But they won't say that because there's a shame there. When I started having those conversations, I had to deal with the shame head on. And I remember when they said to me that they felt like they spent more time with me when I was working a job than when I started working for myself. I walked outside and I went for a walk and just cried because there was a shame there. I left the job so I could do better for us.
Yeah, and it's not,
I
yeah.
to build something, and here it is. You're telling me that what I tried to do isn't working. Now I had one or two choices I could have made. I could have said, well, that's on you. I'm gonna keep doing it. Or I could say, okay, well, how do I fix this? And I even remember asking them, what can I do better? And learning along the way um, that there were little things that I could do that could make it better. So spending time watching certain shows with my daughters, or, doing certain things. And so, for instance, yesterday, yesterday was a podcast day for me. So I did all of these episodes where I was interviewing people, back to back podcast interviews. In the morning, I was on an accountability call. I was in a prayer room. I was doing all these things. And then in the evening, I still had to go live on Amazon. And so I'm like, and the introvert in me is like, no.
I actually seen
I
that
saw
reel
the
that you
video.
done. Yeah.
That's why I saw the video yesterday, because I was like, no, I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
But my daughter was not having a very good day. My sister was not having a very good day. And I knew that I was live streaming. And I was like, okay, I know I have to do this. So let's do it this way. Let's tie dye some shirts while I'm live streaming. So y'all come to the table. We'll go ahead and have everything set up. We'll tie dye some shirts. We'll do that while I'm live. And then afterwards, me and my sister spent some time watching one of our favorite shows, Chicago PD. We went ahead and watched a couple episodes. But even after everything that I had done, I went ahead and I made sure that I included them because I noticed what was going on. And that was a decision that I can make. So many times we're like, oh, well, I don't know, how to do it. I don't know what to do.
But we don't
Sometimes
know
it's
how
just
to
a simple
ask.
thing. Right. That's it. Sometimes just
Like, that's
ask.
the thing. Yeah, I think sometimes we ask ourselves, how can I do better? And we make up these stories in our head how we can do better, right? And that's exactly what you've done, right? With, okay, I'll get my own job, and and we always try. And I think it's so easy, as well as people, to think that it's so it's so bad, like they're so bad to us, but actually we don't see how they're trying because we just see how we feel. We don't see how they're feeling as well. But just that question of how can I do better, and a lot of the time, like everyone has answers on how you can do better because they're around you all the day, all the time. And I think it's like obviously, like I'm assuming from like what you're saying is about spending more time on watching shows. That's something that they've told you, right? Whereas you wouldn't have just been able to. It's just, it's like it's the little things that are the big things, and you don't know what is going to be important or meaningful to someone until you just ask. But we're not taught as humans how to communicate, like, but we're taught how to be better in business or how to be better in work, and we go to all these training courses when we're in working. This is how you can do your job better, and but we don't actually take time, or there's no training course to how to do life better or how to build relationships better. Well, there is, but like actually just that thing of just asking, I think that's so powerful in what you're saying. It's just actually saying, how can I do better for you today? And then how nice is that when someone asks us that, because it's like, wow, okay, you want to hear, like, and it's so simple when you think about it and you put it into action, but like it's sometimes that's like it seems mad, like for me, like never having really asked anyone that before in my life. Actually, that's such a simple way of doing better for the people around you instead of just trying to be creative with it. And especially as like creative people, it's like, I could do this, I could do this, and I could do a massive, like, so it's a massive thing, or when it's a birthday for a massive event. But actually, it's just like it's the everyday things.
Exactly. And you know what? It's the simple thing. So me and my sister will sit and watch Chicago PD, or she has me watch like I watch all the strange shows with her. So we
Okay.
watch like Buried in the Backyard and all types of crazy stuff that comes on. But you know, strange stuff. But then my youngest daughter, her and I may watch something on Disney. We may watch a Disney show. My son and I, we may sit down and watch Godzilla or watch something with, you know, a dinosaur movie or something. I mean, like everybody has their own things that they like. And so one of the most valuable lessons that I had to learn was as a parent is that each one of my children are going to be different. And although we wish that, you know, we could do one thing and kind of blanket over
all at one
everybody,
time.
right, and just knock it all out at once, that's not how this works. And so I have to understand that each of them are going to be requiring something different. Each of them are going to be seeing and hearing something different because, again, they're doing it through their lens, through their eyes and their ears. And so I have to be understanding that everybody may have a different response.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay.
And that's what we do when we just see things from our lens. We try and do what like we want to do. We do what we want to do to make them feel better instead of instead of like what they want, but we don't ask. So we just like, but that should be, and then we get really shook. We're like, that should be making you feel better. They thought, like, what?
Exactly.
Come on, you should be feeling better now.
You feel better with. I thought that would make you better, so you should feel better because I thought so.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, but you should. And then as a parent, being that kind of person in charge of it all, I suppose even more so, like you like there's certain things you do dictate because it's a household, right? There needs to be someone at the top of the household. So it's like, yeah, but I'm boss here. You should be doing what I say. But actually, obviously, everyone's got different emotions. That's so funny when you think about it like that. Wow. Yeah. It is. It's so mad. It's so mad. Oh, but that's so amazing. So, in terms of your journey and your story, where is it you're at now?
So now I'm enjoying this part of the journey. Publishing books, speaking on stages. I'm actually being honored in Virginia at SpeakerCon with an award for Altovise. Yeah, I'm like I have a few events coming up where I am a finalist for awards this year, and man, going out and just helping people however I can. Man, it's like, whoo. All right, here's the next journey. Here's what it is. And it's interesting because I said, well, I want to be in a position where I can go speak, and it's not necessarily a conference where I'm speaking at. I want to speak at the UN, United Nations. I want to speak, I want to be able to build that bridge between cultures and
Which is so
women.
important.
Like it's so different compared to the that initial mindset of I just want to be out on stages and I want to speak, and I really want to be deliberate about who I'm speaking to, because I think for so long as women we've gone through so much that we really do think that some of the things we go through and endure are just the way it is.
Yes. Oh, and the way it's always going to be. And if we just accept it as,
Exactly.
and as soon as you start to get into different cultures and different people and different groups of people, it just gets even worse. All these
Mm-hmm.
things that we accept that is just, it's not okay at
Exactly.
all. Yeah, that's so powerful. That's so powerful. There's another question here saying that did you start from scratch in your journey, basically, or did when you left, did you start from scratch, basically? I was wondering if you left Payless first and then worked to start your journey, or did you balance both initially? Did you hear me?
So I started from scratch because I did not have any idea of what it meant to build a business. When I first started, I
Mm-hmm.
actually tried selling Avon products. I tried selling Herbalife products, which was pretty crazy because as an introvert, when you do an MLM, you're supposed to talk to people. I didn't like that.
No, I don't want to do that. What? No.
I didn't like that. At least not in the way that they were doing it. I really didn't like it. And so I found myself kind of stumbling around. I worked with coaches. Some were great experiences, some were not so great experiences. And I had all of these blueprints. Imagine, okay, so I am really big on using index cards because I write things out on index cards. So that way,
Okay.
when I complete them, I can mark them off and, go ahead and rip them up. Imagine this is what we do when we come in, and we're starting from scratch. And because we don't understand the power, the experience, the understanding that's coming with us, even when it's our day one. Because your day one, maybe your day one in that industry, but it's not your day one. You're bringing
That's
things with you.
powerful.
And
Yeah,
so when
for sure.
then I was like, no, I gotta collect all. It's like Pokemon. I gotta collect them all. I gotta collect this one, and I gotta take this course, and I gotta take this one, and I gotta have this. Yeah, I gotta have them all. And I found myself collecting stuff to the point where on my laptop I had all of these webinars and ebooks and all of this stuff, and it was duplicates of stuff. Like the
Okay.
information was the same. It was just coming from a different person.
Okay.
And I really had to stop and say, okay, why am I going and from class to class and getting this book and that book and trying to do what is going on here? And it was for one, it was a need for validation because I
Mm.
felt like if I took a course, then by me going ahead and taking the course, completing it, that gave me the validation I needed for me to move forward. Not
Mm-hmm.
understanding that my experience, my wisdom, my time that I'm bringing is what is propelling me forward.
You've
And
lived
so
life, and you know what it's like to be a human.
exactly. And so I went, and in the beginning, I was like a chicken with my head cut off. I was all over the place trying to figure out, oh, let me get in this class. I went and took a Facebook ads class. I ain't used Facebook ads not once, but I took the class and I bought a book. And used neither one of them. But it was that desire. And so one of the things that I made,
You were on a mission.
I'm very big on the commitment that I make with women that I work with. And one of the commitments was we would no longer waste time, energy, and money. And so we're not chasing behind somebody's name. We're not buying a whole bunch of new books, and we got books that we haven't even read. But what we're doing is we're strengthening and understanding what we bring to the table. I know throughout many years there were, people always saying, if they don't invite you to their table, create your own table. So if they have an opportunity or something, and they're not inviting you, create your own. And while that sounds great, what we failed to realize and what we failed to teach people was don't be just so excited to come to the table that you forget that you can bring something for people to eat. So don't just come to the table, come ready to serve.
Yeah. Because everyone has something, and that's what I love so much. And that's what I'm doing through my work with the Voice of Women, painting like all these different women, and they write their life stories. And even this, like connecting with women and like connecting live. Obviously it's great chatting to you, which is how I knew that we didn't really need to speak before, because we're both on that same kind of mission of women's voices, and that's just great. But so many people don't see the value that they have to talk and what they can bring to the table. And we've all got something that we can teach everyone. I genuinely believe this. And like, I wish I could just paint every woman in the world and write everyone's stories, like I really do. And every single woman that I've painted say, but I don't have a story. I was like, but you do. You've got an amazing one, which is why I'm asking you to share it. But also, people who don't even have a big extravagant story, they've still gone through something that someone else can relate to, because we're all on this journey of life. And like, that's such a great way, I think, how you put that into metaphor. Like, you've always got something to bring, even if your cooking skills aren't the best. Like, there's a chef there, right, that can bring or has something maybe of more value to, or just of different value to offer, right? But there's always something you can bring to that table, because you're living life. Like, you're going through that life. And if you can get to that table, then you've definitely got something you can bring, right?
That's it.
Yeah. It's power. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. I love it. I love it. I could actually just chat to you for hours. But
I was like, oh my goodness, that hour went by so fast.
I know, because I was just about to say, there's so much we could still talk about. But is there anything else, like off the top of your head, before that I think like that's like a nice place to end it at? Is there anything else? Yeah, no two people are born or have the same story. It's so true. Just a different mixture of all of them. But is there anything else that you'd like to add to our little chat, and also where people can find you, what you're doing next, and all that kind of thing? But yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add, and then what you're doing?
Awesome. So just the biggest thing is that it's time for you to become unmuted. And the reason why I'd say that is because while you may think becoming unmuted is writing the book or standing on a stage, becoming unmuted is just telling your story and owning your story. And when you become unmuted, you literally light it up for someone else. So you show somebody else that it's possible, and you never know who that person may be. I think that's one of the most valuable things. It could be your own children, and you would never know until you become unmuted and share your story that they can feel comfortable in knowing, what it is that they're going through is not just them.
And to be ashamed of. I think it's a shame, isn't it? You feel like, I don't want to say that, because what if I'm ashamed? If the people around you at that moment, they don't get it, then that's on them. But there's always going to be someone out there that is like, feels so heard from what you've said, because like by this point, as a human species, we've been going on for time. I really don't believe there's anything original, like feeling wise, especially. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, none of us are all that special, but we're also special in our own way, right?
Yes, indeed. We definitely have something in our journey that, if we go ahead and just become unmuted, that is the way that we are able to go and put ourselves in a position to just unlock the door for somebody else. And we never know who that door is. We don't know who's standing on the other side.
Yeah. And from your experience as well, like, that's what you've seen as well, which I think so stunning. So stunning.
Oh yeah.
So what is your current book that's out just now?
So the most recent, don't have it in front of me because it's like on the other side of the room. But my most recent book is hashtag Unmuted. It
Okay,
is
cool.
an anthology where myself and 8 other women share strategies for moving from tragedy to triumph, and some powerful, powerful messages in that book.
I
We
bet.
this was the first book where the money from the book did not go to me. The money from the book went to investing in books and sending them out. And so we've sent books out to women's organizations. We've sent books out to, there's books have gone out to the Bahamas, books have gone over to the UK, books have gone out to prison. Um, so it's just a matter of putting ourselves in a position to be able to share and impact lives. So every time somebody purchases a book through Amazon or purchases a book through me personally, it goes, that book, I go and purchase another book so that way it can be donated to somebody else. And,
Oh
and
wow. So through each book that someone buys, another book goes to someone.
yep,
That's awesome. That is such a sick concept. And I love
yeah,
that. And that's, do you know what? That's what I'm all about too. Like the more that, and I think that's such a beautiful way to live your life, is that, you know, the more you're growing, the more that everyone else is growing with you. Because we were taught now in our society, again in the West, that it's me, 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 me. I need to do better. There's no room for everyone at the table, but let's just pull up another table. Going back to your metaphor, the tam table.
that's it. That's
Let's have a
it.
street party. Yeah, wow.
But
That's
yeah,
such a
that's
beautiful
recent.
concept.
That's the most recent one. And then, of course, I host the hashtag Speakeasy podcast,
Okay.
which is, we have new episodes that go live every Tuesday and Thursday. Some powerful ones. So a new one just went live at the time of this recording. And then, oh my goodness, now it's preparing for whatever comes next. Looking forward to doing another live event. People have already been asking me, are you going to do a live event? And so possibly in 2022, depending on what's going on with all of this,
Yeah.
uh,
Wherever you're
that
going to be taken.
in the work. Exactly.
Oh, well,
That's next.
Altovise, it's been so lovely, like connecting with you, honestly, because I just like so much of what you said is like what I'm trying to do for my through my art, and you're doing it in like a totally different avenue, and I just find it so beautiful, so inspiring. Like, and no wonder you've inspired so many people, because you've just got such a beautiful soul, just spreading it all as light, and you've been through like what you're sharing, like you've been through, right, a lot of the time when you've experienced. And I think when you've come in from that space, you just feel so grounded from where you're coming from, and I love it so much. Like you just, yeah, I'm here for it. I'm so glad we connected.
There's such a level of peace that comes with it. I'm just like, the peace and the joy. I'm here for all of that. Just give me abundance of peace and joy. I like it.
Yeah,
And,
that's what I'm
and
here for.
too, your when I looked at your timeline after you reached out, I was like, oh, I love art.
I love
And
art.
so my living room has turned into a mini art gallery
Oh,
because I have like art pieces for my kids all around. So like we did sipping.
oh,
We have some other art pieces, and then we have pictures, and so some of the pictures are in black and white, and like, yeah, my living room has turned into my own little art gallery.
yeah. I think you need that. Like when you're saying as well at the beginning of this, how you're creative as well. Like you need to have stimulating stuff to keep you like in that
Exactly.
mindset of, yeah, it's important. It's really important. Oh well, thank you so 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 much. Thank you for giving me your time and everyone on here. I need to hold this phone, but yeah, so much love. Yeah, and honestly, like thank you so much. And I'm sure like we'll stay in touch, because you're just, yeah,
Almost definitely.
100%. I just want to see like where you're going next, because you're just on such a beautiful journey. And I think what I want to end this on, like for anyone that's watching this, has been watching, is gonna watch, because I'll post this onto my page as well. Like just taking that leap, like, and having that self-belief, is that's where you can start, right? You can start by believing in yourself, and no matter what, just keep going, because the hard work does pay off. And just fix the problems that are in the way, problem solve. If you've got that end goal, which I think from your story and what you're saying, if you've got that end goal in clear sight and whatever that is, like just head there, and anything that's going to come with you on that way, like if you're so set on that, and every decision you make is going to help you get to that goal, everything else will slowly start to fade out. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be lots of hills and bumps, and you might need to go around a few times, but like you will get there. Just perseverance, right? Yeah, perseverance.
That's right.
Yeah, perfect. Oh, so much love. I'll end it there.
I appreciate you. See you.
I appreciate you too so much as well. So much love, and enjoy the rest of your week.
You too.
Bye.
Yeah.